Hello and welcome to Sky and Earth Watch Severe Weather Alerts Report for June 23, 2019. Here's the big picture on our rock for the last 2 hours. Let's zoom in on the United States. You can see it's United States because it has those big letters in the middle. Let's say United States. Kind of a big, this is the last 2 hour loop. Kind of a big system, but not a lot of red in it. But you can see there's some electrical activity there. Kind of doing that thing that storms do now, just hovering over multiple states for hours. So this one's kind of over Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska. Once again, they're getting more moisture. I'm not sure they need it. Severe weather alerts, Watauga, Oklahoma. Otherwise, it kind of looks like there's a front moving in along the Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa border there, and maybe something already kind of went through Chicago and Indianapolis. Kind of a line stretching down there. But the big story for today, so far, is these red things over here. Earthquakes off the coast of Oregon. Quite a few, actually. I don't know if it qualifies as an earthquake swarm or earthquake storm, but these are pretty significant magnitudes. Some 5.4s. And there's been quite a few of them, actually. These, I think, popped up more recently here. 5.6, and that's in California. But these have been ongoing, and you can see there's quite a few of them in that little area right there. Maybe somebody dropped a bomb under there or something. It looks like maybe that's there's like a buried ship there or something. I'm just kidding, I don't know. But let's take a look at some of the past 24 hours on that. So this was the list in that area last night at around 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can see they've been pretty active. I think it kind of kicked off yesterday, Saturday morning. Here's one magnitude 5.4 at 7:52 a.m., 4.2 at 8:37 a.m., 4.6 at 9:26 a.m., and people are reporting on it, the mainstream. So, or these are actually local stations. Several earthquakes, more like many, more than several. If I don't know, I think several means three. But kind of something to keep an eye on, as we've had some volcanic activity also this morning and yesterday. And I'd like to get into that more, but basically, my understanding is that it's kind of a circular cycle where these cooler temps that we've been having kind of go hand in hand with, or correlate with, volcanic activity and earthquake activity, and also increased volcanic activity sending ash into the stratosphere results in increased cloud nucleation, which is a really strange way of just saying more clouds, which then in turn. So maybe this chart can help me kind of explain what I'm trying to say a little more. So in the bottom left of center there, we have a cooling sun, okay? And then see the arrows going around, the black arrows, to increase volcanoes one way, and snow and glaciation, cold air, cold blue air arrows, and increased quakes off the coast there, right where those quakes in Oregon were. So kind of what this is showing is kind of the cycle or the circle, if you think about, in the United States, people tend to think in compartmentalized ways. So, I don't know, for example, red is red, and, red and yellow are different, just as an example. They say that distinction is, the greater the degree of distinction, the greater the degree of intelligence. So, when one person doesn't see differences in things, sometimes they're called, like ignorant or dumb. Like, you don't know the difference between a Hemi and a 4-cylinder engine or whatever, So in other cultures, though, maybe people kind of think more of like everything's interrelated and connected, and maybe the volcano can't exist without the sun. So, so we have cooling sun. So we have this NASA science, June 27th, solar minimum is coming. Solar minimum meaning the sun kind of goes through a cycle where it, the activity decreases. They call it cooling. I don't know if it's cooling, but it's less active. There's less flaring, or I don't know. But apparently these, things really affect the Earth. Obviously, that's what the whole idea of the an event would be, where the electricity or the energy from the sun would fry all of the unprotected electronics. So back to our chart. So we have a cooling sun. We have, let's just go to the left, increasing volcanoes. And this is a EarthQuake today, or yesterday, I guess it blew up, and it's, they're saying the ash cloud plume there's the little volcano, and that's trajectorying for Alaska. So let's see, Saturday, June 22. There's a picture. We'll look at the picture. EarthQuake volcano eruption up to ash up to 43,000 feet. So there's a graph of the, they have like the troposphere, the stratosphere, and the mesosphere. So the stratosphere, that's 33,000 feet. So that's about 6.2 miles. So when ash gets up to there, then it can stay up there for 3 to 4 years, according to the internet. So depending on who you ask, some people say that these volcanic ash in the atmosphere provides, particles for clouds and precipitation to form. And some people say that's wrong. Just like some people say the sun is cooling, and some people say it's not. Me personally, when it's June and I have to wear a hoodie and sweatpants, I'd say something's cooling. So anyways, in this model, it's showing the ash is creating more clouds over there in Canada on the right top. And then we're getting that cooling air coming down into the mountains. And then we're getting all this cold weather and crazy weather. Like snowed on the first day of summer. And, this is from June 21. Hey. Which then in turn causes all of this glaciated snowpack in these mountains, meaning that it's snow that's not melting when it usually does. And if it stays all year and it keeps building, then that's called a glacier. And during the glacier periods, they estimate that this area of the country was under snow and ice. But then what happens when it does melt, or, it melts, freeze, melt, freeze, which is kind of what we've been seeing with our winters, is these huge amounts of precipitation, freeze, melt cycles. So then the water melts down, right? And it gets into the cracks and crevices. We have more water than we're used to. And then what do we see? I mean, I'm not saying that this causes this, but it's just me thinking. We're seeing increased earthquakes. And here's a for example. So you can see these little areas of flooding. Well, first of all, this is a pretty good example actually, because it shows here, this is from last week, I think. Frost advisories here. I think these blue, I don't remember what these blue were, but I think they were high winds. But these greens are definitely, all these greens, this is mountain snow melt runoff. And these rivers coming down from the mountains, and these areas are flooding. So, a lot more water getting in the cracks and crevices and in between the little areas. Freeze, thaw, freeze, thaw. And, it's not so really so important to talk or to figure out why, as it is just to kind of, do what we're doing and observe and watch and share. Which then brings us back around full circle to the earthquakes. It looks like we just had these this is 10 or 6:22 at 10:27 p.m. And a 5.6 magnitude at 10:53 p.m. last night. And, people say, oh, California, they always have earthquakes. Yeah, not, personally, I don't know why anyone want to deal with that, but more power to them. But if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. But people are concerned, and there have been earthquake swarms out there. And if, for the people who are watching, that these things are increasing. The skies are different. The weather's different. And now I really went off on that tangent and when it got in that chart. So now this video is too long. So I'm not going to get into the weather alerts. I'll have to do another video for that. This is the ash plume from EarthQuake, the volcano that blew up yesterday.